When you hear the word tech, you pretty much automatically think innovation, right? I mean, it's the engine that drives the whole industry. But what if I told you that what tech companies say they want from an innovator and what they actually look for, well, those might be two totally different things. We're going to dig into that gap between the buzzwords and the reality.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Every single job description out there is looking for innovators, for disruptors, for creative geniuses. But is that what leaders are really prioritizing when they build their teams? To get to the bottom of this, we're going to break down a really fascinating new study that actually polled the people making these big decisions.
In this study, it uncovers what I'm calling the innovation paradox. It's this strange disconnect between the results tech companies want and the practices they're actually putting in place. Let's see what the data has to say.
So all of our insights today come from a 2025 study. Researchers surveyed 113 IT pros. We're talking executives and decision makers from major tech companies in both Mexico and the United States. They used this special scoring system to rate 11 key areas of innovation inside their companies, and that gives us this really rare inside look at what they truly care about.
So, what topped the list? What did these leaders say was the absolute most important thing? Well, the results were actually super focused, with two key areas tying for that #1 spot. Let's break them down.
First up, nearly 62% of IT leaders said the direct impact of innovation on business growth was a high priority. I mean, this one makes a lot of sense, right? They are laser-focused on how a new idea is going to translate into profit and market share. It really is all about the bottom line. But here's the surprise. Tied for first place, with the exact same score of 61.9%, is something you probably wouldn't expect: the talent, physical location, and the quality of their internet. It seems that in today's world of remote work, having a stable connection is seen as just as critical to innovation as having a profitable idea. Wow! But you know, the story gets way more interesting when we look at what didn't make the cut. The things that scored low, well, this is where that paradox really starts to take shape.
This chart just says it all. You can see business impact way up there at almost 62%. But then look at the things you'd think would actually fuel innovation, like financial incentives for new ideas or opportunities for networking. They barely even break 40%. That is a huge disconnect between the outcome they want and the investment they're willing to make.
So here's the paradox in a nutshell. IT companies are demanding these innovative results that directly boost the business, but they seem to be seriously underinvesting in the very things we know help create an innovative culture, like rewarding creativity and helping people build collaborative networks.
This just brings up another question. If this is what the industry looks like, who's actually thriving in it? The study went even deeper to try and figure out what kind of professional profile really aligns with these innovation practices.
So, the researchers, they crunched all the numbers, and they found 3 demographic factors that consistently predicted who was reporting the highest levels of innovation within their own companies.
And the results here were really telling. The study found that men and people from a higher socioeconomic background tended to have higher innovation scores, which, raises some pretty big questions about equity and access in the tech world. But the most surprising finding, the one that really challenges decades of hiring practices, had to do with professional experience.
Just let that sink in for a second. It was not the seasoned veterans, not the people with decades on their resume, who scored the highest. It was the newcomers, the people with 5 years of experience or less. The study found an inverse relationship. The more experience you had, the lower your innovation score tended to be.
Okay, so what in the world do we do with all this information? Let's break down what this actually means for job seekers, for companies, and for educators.
All right, if you're a job seeker, especially if you're early in your career, this is huge. Your fresh perspective is your biggest asset. For companies, this is a massive signal to rethink how you hire. Valuing years on a resume might actually mean you're overlooking your most innovative candidates. And for educators, the focus should be on building practical skills like collaboration, complex problem solving, and, as the study points out, second language skills to compete in a global market.
So this leaves us with a really critical question, doesn't it? For decades, experience has been the gold standard. But if this data is right, if less experience actually correlates with higher innovation, what should the new standard be? What are the skills, the traits, the mindsets that truly define the innovators that tech companies need to build the future?
Now, all the data and the findings we've been talking about in this explainer come from an academic article published in the journal Social Sciences and Humanities Open.
For those of you who want to dive deeper, the full citation for the research paper is on your screen now. It's by Pastrana and colleagues, published in 2025. The title is Examining Innovation Practices in the IT Sector, a Socioformative and AI-Driven Analysis of Talent Development in Mexico and the United States. It's a really fascinating look into the real-world dynamics of talent and innovation in tech today.